So what of this next wave of revolutionary technologies which of these are you most excited with in terms of deepening, enriching your relationship with your customer?
So I would say VR, AR, VR first, AR, and then also the quantified self, a lot of the biometric stuff that we're really looking at on the basketball side, because how do you prevent injury? How do you create more efficiency? How do you increase recovery? So VR and some of the other things that we're doing around the kind of quantified self movement, where we're actually sensing through GPS and through sensors how the players are playing, are two of the things that are going to be most immediate in how we look at our business. The concept of collapsing distance is a no-brainer, right? 99% of the people who are NBA fans are not going to be physically at a game, either because there isn't an arena close to them, or it costs too much, or for whatever reason. And only 1% of those that do, say 1% of that would ever have a chance to be on court side. So yes, the concept of collapsing distance and bringing people closer is very powerful, but there's concepts in VR that have to do with injury recovery and prevention.
And in your mind, these technologies, VR, AR, they're ready for prime time?
Well, I mean, it depends what you consider prime time. I would say probably not ready for prime time. For VR, there's a lot of things. One is it's got to be an install base of headgear, people having headgear to be able to actually experience it. There has to be, the associations have to be on board with being able to put cameras in the arena to capture content and distribute that in real time. And I think we're playing, like we were one of the first ones to stream. We streamed our opening night when we did our ring ceremony, the year we won the championship. And that was, it was amazing, but that was still beta in the Samsung VR Gear world. They hadn't even released their commercial product yet. So I think that in terms of awareness in the teams and in the associations and around sports, I think it's there, and I think they're trying it. We also have media rights, which is a big challenge, right? You can't, people spend a lot of money securing rights to content that's being streamed. One of the advantages is that Turner is on board with this, right? So they're invested. So you get these people who are invested, you get the leagues invested, you get the teams invested, you get the VR companies that can do, whether it's narrative or live streaming or whatever, all invested. Then you have an ecosystem that can actually deliver something with the kind of efficiency that's going to generate revenue.
Well, we at Avegant believe that the screen as we know it is going to go away. So over the next years we see more and more devices coming out that replace the screen in the living room or the mobile screen as we know it with head-mounted and head-worn displays. So I think the generation behind us will no longer sit in the living room and dad controls the TV with the remote control. It's all experiences will become more and more individualized. And I mean, we talked about virtual reality, 360-degree content, 3D content, different types of experiences will require different types of devices to actually consume this content. So we're pioneering a technology that's retinal imaging technology, so it produces very clear and crisp images in the human eye.
You asked before how close we are to prime time, and it seems like in some ways we're really close, and in other ways we're kind of far away. And there's only a few people that are really getting the benefit out of it now. How long before it's really widespread?
I don't know. I mean, it depends upon the technology. We're at least a couple 2 to 5 years out. So really, in terms of VR, to really make it accessible, because it's not only being able to get the headsets, but the content has to be something that people want to consume, right? It has to provide value, and it has to, to jump over the chasm, right? In terms of something cool and something fun and something new and novel to something that's really going to help drive the business. And I think the ecosystem is very complicated right now.
So we're talking about immersive experiences, and as I understand it, virtual reality today is mostly encased in headsets. And I find that to be an isolating experience at some points. And one of the greater feelings and emotions that I get out of watching sports is the simple pleasure of just high-fiving my buddy. You know, something great happens and I high-five him, and that's one of the greatest experiences, right?
And I think it's very challenging. I mean, you can't high five, you can't eat, you don't know where your hands are, and certainly there's technologies that are extending your hands, right? I mean, Oculus, I've seen it around where you're holding things and extend your hand. I've even seen social opportunities where someone is in a physically different room but is virtually in the same room as you, and there's like a vector face, so you get some assimilation. But we are far from that. So, and I'm not a technology guru, but I know that is a challenge. And that even came up, when we were streaming our game, right? We had a bunch of reporters sitting in a room next to each other, but they each had their own experience, and that's going to be something we're going to need to work on, because one of the best things about going to a sports game is doing that, high-fiving or doing the wave, or hugging. You have people you don't even know you're hugging, right? And all of a sudden but that sort of thing just doesn't happen.